Wow, it's great to be here, and thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm going to go straight into telling you about the work by probably sharing the saddest thing that I ever have to say in all of my work, and that is that the single clearest indicator of disadvantage is being female. You can add to that age, disability, conflict, poverty, HIV, disinheritance, civil rights issues. You can add all of those things, and all those things simply do is they make it worse, and they push women and girls to the very edges. And the project I want to mention today is our Leave No Girl Behind project in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The Congo is one of the most violent places, I think, on earth over the last 30 years, and especially for women. But the church is there. The churches reach to the very edges of the country, into all of the communities. And this project is a joint project with Christian Aid, because between the Protestant and Catholic churches, they provide 60% of all education in the Congo. The Congo has been without government, effective government, on and off over the 30 years, and the church has been there to be the provider, to be the health service, to be the education service, sometimes to be the government. It doesn't want to be, and it's trying to step back as the government steps up. But the group that I'm going to mention today are the most discriminated against group in the Congo, and they are the Pygmy people. They're also known as the Mbuti, so the Mbuti people. And if you imagine being a girl in the Mbuti tribes, the Mbuti are nomadic. They live in the rainforests. They move seasonally for hunting. They are exploited for labour. They're victims of stigma. They're one of the most stigmatised people on earth, I suspect. The girls marry very early, sometimes as young as 12. And with that comes early childbirth. They get no opportunity for the kind of life that you and I might know, or that our children or nieces might know. 80% of Mbuti girls never get into education. The 20% that do rarely complete it. So they live with this life that is dominated by hardship, by poverty. They are the poorest people in the Congo, and by illness. And quite often the complications that come with early pregnancies lead to an unusually high mortality rate for that group. They are right on the edges. They are the hardest to reach. Our task is to offer two streams of work. One is the accelerated learning program. This can take those girls who've had some experience of education and help them to come back up to speed to be able to re-access the regular services, which I think is essential. They're the minority of that group, but they already have a start. We've got something to build on. The other 80%, what we offer is basic literacy and basic numeracy. These are the things that will be, this is the basic reading and writing that will give them some power. But they're linked, instead of being an ordinary classroom, it's linked to income generating activities or food improvement. How to improve your diet, how to improve the diet of your children, how to get a fighting chance at the beginning. So food improvement or income generation, how to get some status for yourself and some control over the things you need in your own life. So those two strands. Now, the way that happens, you can't then move into these nomadic communities in the rainforests and just simply set up a school and expect them to come to school. You have to set up schools that are seasonal, that are out of hours. So if they're working all day long, you need to offer them the education at times that work for them. So it's functional literacy and numeracy in their own languages at times that work for them in the season that works for them. You have to cope with different ages because, it might be a 12-year-old and a 19-year-old. They've never had education, but they need to sit together and learn. You have to accommodate children their own children in the classroom, so the girls come along with their children. Now the idea is that if we can begin to make that change, to offer them some capacity, to have some control over the resources in their lives, the decisions, begin to influence people, begin to change their status, that will be a key to the longer term development. To reach them is uniquely a church thing, I think. The capillary systems of the church, the veins that go out to the very edges, are part of this project. So the catechists, the volunteer catechists who are known and trusted, are the ones who really get to the outreach and are able to connect the girls and bring them into a trusted space. The church is also there long term. The church is part of the fabric of the community. This isn't a project that you just can parachute in, do a year's worth of work and say, job done. This is a long-term process, and that's the beauty of some of the CAFOD relationships. We heard earlier about that 30-year-old relationship with Sri Lanka and others. Well, it's the same in the Congo. Because it's a long-term process, and you have to be patient and work pixel by pixel. If that were a big picture, pixel by pixel, or if it were a mosaic, tiny tile by tiny tile, to change the profile of what happens, girl by girl, family by family, community by community, and beginning to break down the stigma. Because the church just doesn't work with the girls. They work with the community to challenge those stereotypes, to bring health education. If girls are in education and we can introduce health education to them and to their families, that becomes then an intergenerational process. So this project is a tile. It is a pixel in the picture, in the big picture. But for us, that education piece is essential. It's essential because we know that investing in girls and in women is massively productive. You get a greater difference, a greater impact for the individual, for their family, and for their community by offering education to girls and women. We know that. It's a kind of researched and proven thing. So that's why we're in there, working with the girls, working with their families, bringing education, and ideally working with that capillary system, the fabric of the community that is church and church systems. And that partnership between Christian Aid and CAFOD is another one of those typical CAFOD processes. Don't try and go it alone. It's as family that this works. It's as community.